Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Combat Connections, and you're watching the Day Class podcast. Today, we have another interview with guest Cool Geek Defense, a martial arts YouTuber and Discord debater in the realm of martial arts. Cool Geek, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an
Also,
honor.
happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's an interesting way to spend a birthday on an interview, but alright.
Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic.
Hopefully. So just to start off with like a first question, tell us just about your martial arts and what you've done, what you do, what's your favorite?
All right. So basically, right now at the dojo/gym that I go to, that's that karate background coming out saying dojo. It's actually a mixed martial arts gym. I learn boxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, and a little bit of Wing Chun. I actually got some one private lesson from the Wing Chun instructor. Also, I recently started doing Kali slash Urskima. My goal is to learn every single martial art ever, and right now my favorite stand-up arts are Wing Chun and Muay Thai, and like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo, XD.
All right. My only question. Uriskrima.
Mhm.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, Urskima, that the stick martial art, the Filipino stick fighting one.
Eskrima.
Yeah, however you pronounce it.
Eskrima, yeah.
That kind of threw me for a loop. All right, go ahead.
Eskrima.
I knew that one.
Yeah.
So, that's an impressive list you got there. How long have you been training for?
Overall, I've been training for pretty much as long as I can remember. My first teacher was my dad back before I could remember, but remember some of my first memories are from when I was like 7 years old, training, doing like wrist escapes, wrist defenses, roundhouse kicks, and front kicks. I started doing Shotokan karate, and I liked it because it helped me with like self defense and stuff because I got bullied a lot, and it was super super helpful. And then eventually it became less of I do this to like not die pretty much, and more of like this is the best thing ever. So yeah, it's been overall 11 years now.
So you said you started with your dad. Is that the reason you started? Just so like a family business type thing, or?
Kind of, yeah. So my last name is Strong, and my dad has this thing where you have to live up to your last name. So I was getting bullied, right? And I was, I mean, I was pretty good, like in terms of fighting, because I've always hung out with like older kids. Like even like recently, I've been hanging out a bunch of like people who are adults, and I'm just now 18. So that's sort of my thing, and I would always like play fight with them or quote unquote wrestle and with them. And again, these are all like bigger kids. I was like 3 years old, and we're talking like 7 and 8 year olds, right? And so at first they would throw me around, but then eventually I got toughened up to their level. And so when I went, and these kids that were around my age, it started in kindergarten, by the way. So when the kids my age, 5 year olds, 6 year olds, and 7 year olds tried to mess with me, I was used to like 7 and 8 year olds anyway, and so that was one of the big things, like basically my dad's parents were like, yeah, you can't get bullied, so here's martial arts. And my dad was like, yeah, you have to be strong and you definitely can't get bullied. So here's martial arts.
So, if I remember correctly, you're part of a Cobra Kai sort of gym.
Yeah, it's Cobra Kai martial arts or Joe Stevenson's Cobra Kai, depending on where you look it up. If you search us up on Google, I believe you have to type in Cobra Kai martial arts. And if you go to if you type in the URL, I think the URL is something like Cobra Kai Victorville.com or something like that. But yeah.
Okay, I was wondering because I think I might have seen some of your teammates at USKO Anaheim a few months back.
Yeah, you probably did. We compete everywhere. Like I recently did a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament in Las Vegas. It was a Naga event. It was the biggest Naga event in like 20 years, they said. It was my first competition. I placed third place in two different brackets, so that was pretty fun, to pave the way for the rest of my journey.
Yeah, so do you compete a lot in a lot of different areas?
Me personally, no, actually. That was my first competition for any martial art. Most of my experience, like this is kind of a meme at this point, but most of my experience is like on the streets or, like all of my actual like fights and stuff. So that was my first competition, but I do plan on competing more. The thing is though, my gym has like weird rules for MMA because that's my thing, right? I'm mostly a striker, but I feel like if you fight without grappling, like the threat of it, I don't want to say you're not a real fighter, but I don't think you can I don't think you should be able to call yourself, the baddest man or woman on the planet, if you don't fight with grappling. So MMA is my thing, and I haven't been able to compete since I just turned 18 today.
So what about the other way? There are a lot of people in the BJJ world that think, BJJ is the be all end all and they think that's all they need. So you would say to them also that they would need striking, that it can't just be grappling?
Yeah, infinitely. Yeah, you need some sort of striking. The thing is, I've been into martial arts for a while, but I only started considering competing for the past year and a half, 2 years, give or take. And there was this guy, I met him. This is kind of weird, but I met him at a pawn shop, and he had done professional and amateur Muay Thai fights. And the first question he asked me when I said, I started considering it was, well, have you ever been punched in the face before, right? And especially if you're in a street fight, right? My YouTube channel is Cool Geek Defense for a reason, so it's partly self-defense based. And if you're in a street fight, most people aren't going to say, hey, let's fight, and then you're not going to just be able to pull a guard or shoot a double on them. Usually, in most cases, they're going to try and sneak attack you or something, because most people aren't, trained, disciplined fighters that are going to give you a heads up. They don't have honor. They're like random goons that are going to try and sneak attack you. And if you can't take that initial punch to the face, then I mean, if they knock you out in the first hit, what good's your jiu-jitsu skills,
Yeah, that makes sense. So would you say that conditioning is a big part of, what you think is important as a martial artist? Just being able to take not just a punch to the face, but kicks to the gut and all of that?
Yeah, definitely. I say conditioning's really like extremely important. And like I'm the type of fighter I am with my style. I'm very quick, and I hinge a lot on not getting hit in the first place. You can see a lot of traditional like karate uh, in what I do. I try my best not to get hit, but even though I'm super fast, I still get hit sometimes, and I have to be able to take that. And if I can't, then I mean, sure, I wouldn't get hit for a little while, but eventually I'd get tired or something. And if you're not conditioned, both in your cardio and in your, say, durability training, let's call it, then you're kind of out of luck. You're going to get hit eventually, and that could, not always, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, every jiu-jitsu guy is going to get one shot on the streets or something, but there's always that threat. And I think the more variables you take away, the better. Because that's the main thing with street fights, right? They're super unpredictable, and that's the main problem with a lot of self-defense is you can't always assume that someone's going to fight this way or that way. So the more variables you take away, like, okay, well, if I can't grapple you, I'm going to strike you. Or if you hit me first, like you should have the self-awareness to know if they're going to hit you. But say you mess up or you misread the situation, you should be able to take a hit no matter what. If it's a roundhouse kick, a jab, a cross, whatever, a haymaker, you should be able to take hits.
Okay, so it's not just about conditioning, it's also about having a lot of tools in the tool belt, essentially, to use.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always say, like I want to learn every martial art ever. Well, the reason for that is like I'm kind of trying to become Batman in a way. I want to be able to deal with any situation that could possibly exist. Whether or not I'll fully reach that goal or not is a different question, but I can try, right? Try to reach the impossible goal of perfection, and you might get somewhere close.
But if you want to learn all of these different martial arts, they all have different stances and philosophies and defenses. And with boxing, you're bouncing, but with Muay Thai, I'm sure, you don't want to be bouncing anywhere near as much. So, how do you go anywhere near perfection if you're trying to spread out your entire life along essentially an infinite amount of martial arts?
Yeah, so the thing with me and like learning all of the different martial arts, I try to when I first learn a martial art, right? I approach it with an empty cup, and I want to learn, the philosophies, the methodologies of each one individually, and then after I get proficient, not even advanced, but proficient, I learn how to interweave it with my main style. And after I get proficient, I interweave it with my main style. But I still, when I learn that style, I learn, well, okay, well, why do they do this? Well, when is this appropriate, right? Like, for example, if I'm like, okay, so I always say this when I'm in Muay Thai class, I learn Muay Thai techniques and I do spar, and when I go for the sparring and I'm sparring more competitively, right? Say I'm doing some hard sparring with one of my rivals or something, and I go and his Muay Thai is better than mine. And I want to, for instance, kick him in the head, right? I might go over and over and over again with Muay Thai style roundhouse kicks, say he keeps checking them, right? Well, now I'm going to say, okay, let's go to karate mode, right? Okay, well, now I'm going to side kick him to the body because a lot of Muay Thai people don't train to defend against side kicks. So I'm going to side kick him and use my side kicks to set up my round kick. So I'm not necessarily trying to use all moves at once in one style per se, but I will adapt what I do. Say instead of 90% Muay Thai, 5% karate, 5% boxing, maybe I'll go 75% karate, 25% Muay Thai or something, if that makes sense. Just adapt to the situation.
Just finding the missing pieces of the puzzle that'll fit into any given situation.
Exactly.
Speaking of kicking and trying to land kicks to the head, from your recent content on your channel, it seems you're a pretty big a fan of capoeira. How's
Oh,
that
I
been
love
going for you?
capoeira. Oh my God. I love capoeira. So I recently made a list that I've only showed to like some of my friends, right? It's not like a public list or anything, but I made a list ranking martial arts. And someone got mad at me for putting capoeira like in the middle. So I'm not gonna lie to you at all. I might be a little bit biased because I like flashy moves and stuff, but I have been learning and stuff. I go on YouTube and like I basically been pulling a John Jones and like looking up, capoeira techniques and stuff and learning them and applying them and sparring with my friends around, where I live and also at the dojo and stuff. And I really like it. And I feel like capoeira is one of those styles that if you go to like a school and you learn it, they'll teach you like some of the applications of some of the techniques, but most of the stuff is kind of left up for like interpretation. And I've been trying to decode that. And I like it a lot personally. Like some of the flashy kicks, I wouldn't say go up to someone in a street fight or a cage fight or something and use only capoeira. I think that would be kind of dumb. Well, with a few exceptions, there's always a time and a place. But I feel like in addition to your base, like say you're a karate or a Muay Thai dude or something or a dudette, and you say you're doing your moves and you're winning like really well, and then you do like some spinny capoeira kick or something. I definitely think it'll work. Like as long as you land the capoeira kicks, you're fantastic. You're golden because they're really powerful. And also, capoeira has a lot of good stuff for grappling in a lot of the forms. And like for example, in my my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament that I did against one of the guys, I actually used some capoeira against him. Now some people might laugh, but I actually cartwheeled over his body in capoeira type fashion to pass his guard. If I remember correctly, he had me in half guard, and I was like, "Yeah, no, I want side control, please." And so I just cartwheeled over him and
Right.
passed his guard.
If you like doing cartwheel transitions, you should look into cus. 1 second.
Okay.
I saw something similar. I went to a BJJ school, and I was watching their highest ranks, their like advanced competitive class, doing rolling, and one of them got out of a submission, and they were both trying to get back onto their knees or go back up to grapple again. And one of them cartwheeled over the other, grabbed his neck, and pulled him down into a rear naked choke while he was getting up.
All right,
Yeah,
so I was
Mhm.
speaking to someone recently, but if you're into cartwheel rollovers for your different transitions, you should look into Katsuhiko Kashiwazaki or Kazushi Sakuraba. They've got a lot of material on the matter.
Ooh, nice. Okay, will do. Yeah, like it's super funny because I'm like my actual like jujitsu skills aren't really that good. But before I started doing jujitsu, I did have a little bit of experience with, say, judo and even aikido, which is kind of a meme at this point. But I mean, like this is one of my hot takes. Like people say aikido doesn't work. Everything has a time and a place. There are wrist locks in aikido, and my most landed submission in my jujitsu class going up against other jujitsu people are wrist locks. I've landed that submission more than I have any other submission. And that's like the big thing I learned from aikido, that I always sort of keep that from people. But I guess I'm exposed now.
So your judo experience, tell us about that.
It's not super crazy or anything. I like home study courses, and what I did was I actually got a course of a certain style that I'm not gonna expose just yet. I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket. But there's a style I learned that is supposed to be a root style of where a lot of martial arts came from, and Japanese martial arts, that is. And it basically had a bunch of judo throws and different stuff like that. Also, of course, YouTube exists, right? So I'll go on to other YouTubers that are like judo guys, and I'll check out their stuff. And also, back to my original like training, my dad, what he did to learn before before YouTube or whatever, was he would actually go to different dojos, and he would be allowed to sit and watch the classes and not participate because he didn't pay them, but he would just sit and watch what they did, and then he would go and practice it at home and stuff, similar to what I do. And he also taught me a few things from that. But that's mostly where my judo stuff has come from, is like being self-taught or something from my dad, or stuff along that lines, and home study courses.
You mentioned a couple of times about doing online courses and learning from YouTube and stuff. This is a topic that's very hotly debated, and I think all of us have some strong opinions on it. Do you think it's possible to learn without going to a school?
Yes, but big but here, huge, massive but. You have to simulate going to a school somehow, right? Like, my main thing is I think you can learn a technique from online, but you need to practice it versus a live resisting opponent. That's the main problem, not just with training, like online, but with any sort of training that includes not sparring. So what I'll do, for example, is in one of my or a couple of my videos, I show off this cool flashy capoeira kick that I learned on YouTube, right? But I trained it and used it in actual sparring with friends at home, and people at my dojo and stuff, right? So if you cut out the dojo aspect of that, right, what I would do with, which is what I did with most of my judo stuff pre Cobra Kai dojo, right, is what I did was I would learn, and then I would go on the streets, onto streets, and train with different people who have studied different martial arts, who have studied taekwondo, who have studied karate, or even just street fighters, right? Some street fighters that I met, because I meet everyone, right? I'm super extroverted. So I'll go and I'll meet some street fighters that are interested in martial arts, right? They think they're cool and they like fighting in general. So I'll say, hey, bro, let's spar or whatever. And I'll talk to them, befriend them, all that good jazz. And, I would practice the technique I learned. And sometimes it won't work, right? Sometimes I'll learn a technique and it just won't work. And because I don't have, say, a judo instructor or something to talk to, I'll say, well, okay, well, what adjustments can I make? What did they say about the principle of this technique, right? Because when you learn a technique, they shouldn't just say, if this is how they do it, then your home study course is probably garbage. But they shouldn't just say, well, here's your technique. They should say, here's the technique and here's why it works. So if you do it in a live situation and it doesn't work, then you can say, okay, well, what did I do wrong? Well, they said I have to raise and lower my center of gravity. Well, did I do that? Okay, well, did I do it to the extent that I should have? Well, okay, well, did I do it fast enough? Well, what position was my opponent in? Maybe they just were in a good position to counter. And you have to be able to think of these things on your own. So maybe I guess you can argue like it would be better to train at home if you have, say, a higher fight IQ, which some people seem to have naturally, and then some people it has to be, fostered and grown, all that good stuff. But I think it's definitely possible to learn through home study courses and on the internet and all that good jazz if you have the right environment, I guess I'd say.
So if you're learning everything online, how do you separate, what's the correct technique versus the wrong kind of technique? Because there's like a million ways to do the same thing you can find on YouTube. So how do you determine, what's useful information versus what isn't? And have you ever accidentally sunk a bunch of time into something that you found out was just kind of useless?
Actually, no. So here's the thing, right? I always, like, instantly after I learn a technique online, I always say, hey, Mordecai. He's not gonna care that I gave a name, but like, here, Mordecai. Let me like try this technique on you. I'm gonna try a technique when we're sparring. I want you to tell me what you think I'm gonna do if it's not successful, and then what you did to make me fail or something. Or I'll get one of my other friends, and I'll say, hey, let's spar. I just learned a new move, and I'm gonna try it on you. So there's gonna be some weird shenanigans going on. And a lot of the time, I won't even tell them what I'm going to try and do, and I'll do it because, there's always that barrier against, say, trained people or even untrained people. If you tell them what you're going to do, they have a better chance to prepare for it. So I'll go one round and I'll say, okay, so we're going to spar. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, and I'll try and implement this new technique. And if it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, I won't abandon it instantly, but I will go through sort of a problem-solving mindset and process to say, well, what could I have done to make it work? And then I'll try it again maybe a couple times, and then I'll tell them if it worked, if it didn't work, what I was trying to do, get their feedback, and then spar again. Like, say it worked, right? Say it worked perfectly when they did not know what I was going to do. Now I'm going to tell them what that technique was, and sometimes I'll go as far as to tell them how it works, and then have them resisting against a technique they know is going to happen, and then see how that happens. Because I feel like, now this is kind of the same topic, kind of not, but I feel like a lot of people disregard techniques that they've told their experienced training partner, okay, now I'm going to wrist lock you. I tell people I'm going to wrist lock them, and I do it anyway. But, they'll be like, hey, I'm going to wrist lock you now. And their opponent knows that they're going to try and wrist lock them. And this is the first trained wrist lock, and they won't do it.
We're getting a few connection issues from you. Are you in a bad spot at the moment?
Oh, yeah, here, sorry. Hold on. Yeah, I might be. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can fix it. Let me make sure everything is good. How about now? Is it like, does it still say I have a bad connection?
I'm hearing you fine. Guys, what are you hearing?
I'm hearing him fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Also, it might help if I don't have a billion tabs open, so let me close out some of these. Yeah, I have a bad habit of having too many tabs open. Okay, I just X'd out like 10 tabs. Cool. But, yeah. So, yeah, I hope I answered the question and I didn't, like, ramble, like, derail too much.
No,
So-
that made a decent response, yeah.
So you're judo, yes? Self-taught, right?
Mostly, yeah.
All right, for the most part. My only issue with self-teaching is really the input of bad habits, since you have no one to correct you on the matter. So using judo as an example, as a judoka, how are you knowing for sure that you have good kazushi within your nagewaza? How do you know that you're not overworking yourself if you have no one there
So-
to correct you?
I agree 100%, right? So my main tell is of whether or not I think I'm doing a good job. So I'm not saying, like you can be like, I don't know, some like red belt in judo or something based off of like being self-taught. I guess I should have made that a little more clear, but I think you can get proficient enough with a technique that you are self-taught on to at least say win a street fighter, I guess, get through a self-defense situation alive against the average like person. That's a big deal that when I talk to people, especially like some of my other martial arts buddies, they kind of get mad at me when I say someone's like good, because when I say someone's good, that doesn't mean that they're like, good compared to other, like, say if I say I think my judo's good, that doesn't mean that I think I can like beat other judo people, like judo black belts or something, with my judo. All that means is I can judo throw some like random goon off the streets, if that makes sense.
So again, my only issue with that is, for example, your koshiwaza, so your hip throwing techniques, right?
Yeah.
You go to do, for example, like a koshiguruma, and you do it the incorrect way. There is a chance there that you can pull your back because you have enough balance, then you haven't made it easier on your own body. You're applying too much strain to your own body instead of strain to their body. So would it not be a better, I guess, platform to sit there and focus on something where you have someone there to correct you on the matter versus sitting there and learning things incorrectly, risking injury to yourself if you ever had to use them within a situation with a non-compliant individual?
Okay, I get where you're going with that. Yeah, so I'm not saying that training at home or with home study courses is in any way equal to or to superior to going to an actual dojo or a gym or whatever. I just think that if you have no other options, you can do it. Like, I'm not saying it's preferable, but I'm saying I think you can do it, right? So, for example, and also it comes with like the example you just gave, is I think it comes with being just self-aware of your own body, right? So if you're training a technique, right, and you're thinking like, man, this is super hard, at least most of my interactions with people who have trained judo formally, and this is what I do, I go out of my way to find people who do train different styles and such, and I talk to them. And most people who do train judo and different arts that have throws in general, whether it be aikido, hapkido, or whatever, the emphasis is usually throwing them with the least amount of force, right? So if I'm doing a technique and it's super hard, what that tells me is I'm probably doing it wrong. And whenever someone comes in to like the Brazilian jiu-jitsu class of my dojo, right, and I'm rolling with a beginner or something, if they're trying to hit a move super hard, or even if we're not rolling, even if it's just drilling, and they're trying to do something, and they're just straining super hard, I always tell them, listen, if you're straining super hard to hit a move, you're probably doing it wrong, and you need to make an adjustment. Even if it's not my best move or something, and I'm not the best at it, I know that if I'm straining super hard, I'm doing it wrong, and I need to make an adjustment, and I'll just go trial and error until I get it right, because I'm a very when it comes to training in like martial arts, I'm very, very stubborn on learning stuff. I love to learn. I love knowledge in general, but specifically when it comes to martial arts, if I'm doing it wrong and I'm using too much energy, I know that I can make this easier. So I think, okay, well, how? Well, maybe if it's in my hip position, is it, my center of gravity? Like, what's going on? What do I need to do? And I'll just problem solve. I'll say, okay, well, I'm hitting this wrong. Well, maybe I need to reposition my hip, throw them over a little lower or a little higher over my hip. And I'll make these micro adjustments, with my friends, and I'll see, okay, well, when they're higher on my body or lower, I get more positive or more negative results. And then I'll make note of that. And then I'll go through, like I said, that problem solving mindset, on my own. And that's a really big deal. I think if someone doesn't have that mindset and like ability to problem solve, maybe not the best idea for them to train at home exclusively. Although I would say that if you want to train techniques at home, it's best if that's just a supplement to your actual training at your gym or dojo or whatever. I view home training as a supplement more so than like the main parts of your training, if that makes sense.
So supplementary arts. So
yeah.
Again, with, for example, your nagewaza, your throwing techniques, you can get to the exact position where the throw will become inevitable, right? You can
Uh-huh.
find what makes it easier on your body at that position, which that works really great with a compliant individual. But if you ever go and compete at a higher level, right, and you don't have good Kazushi to set up that throw, what leads up to the throwing point, you don't have anyone to correct you up until then, that's when you can risk injury to your own body. So that's the point I'm getting at.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
I
Yeah,
think
the
you covered
setups.
that somewhat though.
Your Kazushi off balancing them before you throw. Because, for example, if I'm going to set up like an ukigoshi, a floating hip throw, and I get the setup, I get to throw them, but I can off balance them, then I'm lifting all of their weight with them resisting against me. All that weight is strain on my body. If I move in a manner and get them set up where they're already leaning heavily, they're about to fall over, and then I throw them, I'm throwing just a fraction of their weight, which in turn makes it easier on my own body.
Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying now. So I would just say, like, again, this is under the assumption that, like, they, like, I'm assuming here that if you're doing like a home study course or something, that you either A, you already train that style and you have a teacher, or B, you can't get to like a school and this is your only way because I don't know, maybe you're like don't have enough money, which has been one of my obstacles. You don't have enough money to go to a school, or there's just none in your area and you're not willing to say move across the state or something in order to find a school. I would say that that just means they need to train more. If like, how would you know? Trial and error. Like if you like, I'm not gonna say it's good to hurt yourself, but if you're doing something and it's like you get that, you like, again, you should be able to feel if like you need to set up your throw right. Like if you get your setup and it's not good, then I'd say maybe like experience, I guess is the right word. You just need to practice on, like, again, sparring. Like I would just say use your judo and sparring just as much as you can, and you should hopefully eventually do it right.
All right. Um, I see where you're coming from. I'm speaking because before I switched over to judo and Japanese jiu-jitsu, I did Brazilian jiu-jitsu for a number of years. And I I fairly routinely see whenever I'll go to a BJJ gym or I'll train with an individual who trains BJJ, they will attempt various koshiwaza and tewaza. They're different throwing techniques, and they'll be overworking their own body, but they don't know it. They feel, well, I don't feel anything wrong. I can make it work. My whole point being, if you were training and you do not have someone to correct you on the matter, you will not know that you're doing it wrong.
Oh yeah, I get that 100%. Although I will say that, again, it comes down to the specific individual. I might say this a lot in this podcast, but like for me, I don't really like good enough. Good enough, or how it works isn't good enough for me. I want to, like, when I get to a point where I can throw people comfortably, well, I don't just want to be good at martial arts. I want to be godly, right? I want to be super good. So after I get to the point where it feels good and there's nothing wrong with it, now I want to look to make it better than good. I want to make, like, okay isn't good enough. I want to make it the best technique that I can. And now it's never like, well, I shouldn't say never, but most likely, if you're training on your own, it's not going to be the prettiest or the most efficient throw, for example. But I think if you have that mindset of like, okay, my judo doesn't hurt me, right? It's like, okay, now I want to make it good. And you keep practicing it. You keep sparring with, again, like whoever you can find who's willing to spar with you. Uh, Hopefully in like grass or something. Hopefully you're not throwing people on the concrete, but you just find whoever and you just keep practicing to the point where it's not just feels good, but feels great, where it looks effortless. Like, Aikido, or people are, they always say like, oh yeah, it takes like zero difficulty to do this. Well, you want to get as close to that as you can, like as much energy you can save, even if it feels like you're not using that much. You want to make it so it feels like you're using negative, energy.
Well, that is fair, but there's not really any way to get to that point without having someone there to instruct you. For example, 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to train with the United States martial arts team based in Alabama. It was a very large group training effort, and one individual there was a brown belt in Machado Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? Coming from a judo background, I was teaching the Nagewaza, and halfway through, he tried making corrections to another student there. The student was like a two-stripe white belt in BJJ. I was teaching a Tayatoshi, which is Tewaza. It's a hand technique. During the Tayatoshi, he was trying to teach it almost like a koshiguruma and ended up straining his back halfway through it. Well, his reasoning for this is he has always been able to pull it off effortlessly within training. While that's fair, he trains with people who primarily focus on their newaza, their ground techniques. So he has no one there to correct him on that matter. After I made the corrections, he didn't seem too happy that he'd been doing it wrong, but everyone else was able to pick it up. If I wouldn't have been there, they would have done it incorrectly, which could have led to self-injury on that point.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
We spent too long on the single point. We can move on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on that one. Like, there's always that risk of, learning something wrong. Like, I definitely agree that that's definitely a thing to watch out for.
Okay, well, moving on from this topic now. You have done a lot of martial arts. It's been part of your friendships, part of your family life. It's your hobby. It's what you do on YouTube. What would you say it's done the most for you? Was it improved upon or changed the most in your life?
So two main things. One is I'm by default, I'm a bright, cheery person. Like I giggle a lot. Some people don't like it, but I noticed that I personally love training. It's something I love, and it makes me happy. Like, I know that sounds kind of generic or something, but it makes me feel really good. It's increased my quality of life just training and just the feeling I get from training. And also the fact that well, I guess this is two other things, but the thing is too is the confidence and sort of like aura I give off to people is different, right? I mentioned, like, I used to get bullied as a kid, but as I've been training, people, like, the longer and longer I've been training, the less people try to, like, approach me, right? I'm still skinny, right? I'm still super skinny, right? But people don't, like, come to me trying to start trash or, like, steal my lunch money or something like they used to. And also when people have been, because it's been a while since I've been into actual, like, street altercations, but the last few times I was 100% fine. Like, people tried to attack me and assault me. I was completely fine. And before I was, like, decent at martial arts, I would get into altercations and they would be long and drawn out, and I would have, like, bruises and injuries and stuff. And now I'm comfortable in those situations where people try to, like, attack me and stuff. It doesn't really bother me now. Like, legitimately, one person tried to assault me. I pulled off one technique. Not saying this is like what would happen to most people, but I've had situations where I would do one technique and I didn't beat them up or anything, but because the technique was so fluid, they were like, oh snap, this guy does that karate stuff, let me not bother him. And they've literally just walked away before from those situations. And that's the main thing in, like, self-defense situations. And if someone attacks you, it's not even about, winning the fight per se. It's, I want to get away with my money and my, life, So those things definitely.
So something I'm curious about, you talk about how important self-defense is, but I think a lot of us would consider being aware of your surroundings as something super critical to self-defense. The way you make it sounds like you're getting attacked very frequently, which one is kind of concerning in itself, and two, shouldn't you be aware of your situation to prevent these situations more?
Yeah, well, the way I see it, self-awareness is a part of self-defense, right? I think you should see a situation coming a mile away and be able to weigh your options. Because for me, most of my life, when people try to, like, attack me or fight me, and it used to be very common in school when I was in school. So I guess I'll tell you my sad anime backstory because you sound a little bit concerned. So basically, when I was in elementary school, kindergarten and first grade to be specific, I went to a specific school. I'm not going to say the name of the school, but I went to a school, and well, I'll say it like this. The name of the school was Spanish, and if you've seen what I look like, I'm darker now than I used to be because I moved to the desert, but I was like, it's noticeable that I'm black, right? And they didn't like that too much, and so I got bullied all the time, it was on a regular basis, because I was a different skin color than them, and so that was a big issue for me. And the way the school worked was the staff and everyone were all not super concerned if I came in and was, say, telling on another student. So I the way I had it, I couldn't just not fight them. It was either a, try to tell the teacher, get beat up for being a tattletale, and try to move schools or something, or know that they're gonna try and fight me. Don't, like, when they try and sneak attack me, I know that they're gonna try and sneak attack me, right? That's step one, is know they're gonna attack you. B, know what to do once they do, and use only the amount of, and this is very important, use only the amount of force necessary so that you won't get any, say, severe consequences, if that makes sense. But yeah, I definitely think self-awareness is step one. I think self-awareness is part of self-defense. Like, for example, one of the things that people noticed about me, and this started happening around when I was about, I think, 12 years old, was when people started really noticing. But someone would try and, like, walk up behind me and, like, as like a joke, it'd be like a prank. They would try and walk up behind me and scare me or something. And I would kind of overreact and, like, get into like a fighting stance or something. And then they would be like, "Hey, relax, relax." But that's definitely a part of it. I think it's better over prepared than under prepared. I think you should know when a situation's coming a mile away and be able to react to it however necessary. If you can just run away, like, I couldn't exactly run away from my school, right? But if you're in a situation where you can just run, that's fantastic. If you can, well, I shouldn't say just run, but if you're athletic enough and stuff to run away and maybe hop a wall or something, like I run up walls for fun. So if you can run and run up a wall and escape somewhere, that's fantastic. But push comes to shove, if the fight is inescapable, you already know the fight's going to happen. You need to know how it's going to play out. You have to be confident enough to know you can take on the situation. And confidence, like, you can't be arrogant. You have to be confident in your abilities, but not overestimate yourself and not overestimate this other person. Like me, I've always been skinny, right? That's the People didn't like me because either I wasn't the same skin color as them, or I was super skinny and they thought they could just have a great old time destroying me or something for fun. So I know I'm skinnier than them, right? I always assume that this person who's trying to attack me or something is always going to be stronger. That's my baseline assumption. So I need to know that. I need to be aware that I'm not as strong as this person, so don't let them hit me. What mindset am I going with? I need to not get hit and I need to escape as soon as possible. That sort of thing, if that makes sense.
So, would you say, forgive me if this is an incorrect interpretation of what you've been saying, but you believe awareness is optimal and key, but on a personal level, even when you're aware, you don't really make the effort to avoid a fight. You prefer to actually engage.
Well, no. I mean, so kind of. Okay, so personally now, like in the point in my life where I am right now, I do kind of like to engage, but I wouldn't. Like, I'm at the point where if it happens, I'm having a great old time. But say, because I know there are legal ramifications, say if I fight someone, that I could, possibly go to jail or something. That's not my A game. My A game is know what's going to happen and escape. But if I am in a situation where it's, say, a place where I can't just escape or talk my way out of it or whatever, I definitely need to have a plan B. Plan A is talk your way out of it. Plan B would be run away, and plan C, for me anyway, is to fight.
Certainly sound that's an interesting outlook, I suppose, and way of like history and understanding why you look at things the way you do.
Yeah.
So let's go outside of the realm of self-defense. Let's go back to just general martial arts. You have had some experience, be it in class, online, training several different martial arts styles. You've told us a couple of your favorites and preferred ones. You said you want to do every style, but which one style, every style in the world, out of which one style that you've not done do you want to do the most?
Let me get the list. Hold on. I have a list of styles that I want to do. Let me look at it real quick. I can get it pretty quickly. Let's see, where is it? All right, jump to there. I want to learn Sonda a lot. I really want to learn Sonda.
What's the draw to Sanda?
Say again?
What is the what is it that draws you to Sanda? What is it about Sanda that makes that what you want to do?
So it's from China. That's the main reason. I'm not gonna lie to you, but also it's versatile. Like I don't know, like I'm not an expert on Sanda obviously, but I do know that it's supposed to be like kickboxing with takedowns, and I like versatility. I like where I could learn a martial art. And it's like a one-stop shop for a lot of different things, you know. Yeah, if I can learn to punch, kick, and takedown, that's fantastic. That's excellent for me.
So if you were to study Sanda, would you prefer to study Sanda in an IWUF Wushu school, or would you prefer to study in a Chinese martial arts school that does Sanda rule set and competition?
That's interesting. I never thought about that one.
While you think about it, just to clarify for people who don't know what that means, Sanda is a martial art. It's a combat sport that is trained as part of Wushu competition and sport competition in Wushu schools. It's also Chinese martial arts full contact competition. So Kung Fu styles, traditional Kung Fu styles, will compete in Sanda, and therefore you could train, say, Honga and have Honga be Sanda.
Yeah, so I mean, would you get mad at me if I said both?
I feel like it's a bit of a cop out, but I'll allow you to have it since you didn't hadn't thought of it before.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely caught me off guard. I don't know. I kind of want to if I could compete in China, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think it was in 2019, Yunnan Shaolin, which is one of the Shaolin temples in the in southern China, had the first world kung fu tournament, and had a Sanda open competition where I think one of the second place was actually a Taekwondo practitioner.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so
But I thought Taekwondo didn't work. I'm sorry, I had to make that joke.
I mean, while we're on that subject, you said about making things work using using sparring and that everything has its time and place. But it's at least a well-known stereotype that traditional martial arts don't work or have a lot of issues. What would you say you believe the issue in traditional martial arts is?
So I've actually talked about this and debated this, and when I say I think like everything has a time and a place, as in terms of martial arts, and like every martial art works except no touch. But you know, when I say that, a lot of people take issue because of the way that certain martial arts, like you know, one of my favorites, Wing Chun, right? A lot of people draw issue not with the actual techniques, but with the way they train or like the training methodologies of different styles. I think that a lot of styles like say Taekwondo get a bad rap because I like point sparring, right? Don't get me wrong. You know, like point karate, all that jazz. But you shouldn't only be doing that. I don't think that's a good way to learn how to fight. because I do think there's a difference between learning the techniques of a style, and the example I always use is, say, Muay Thai. Pretty much everyone unanimously agrees Muay Thai works. Now, say you take every technique in Muay Thai, right? You take the roundhouse kicks, the knees, the front kicks, all the punches, all that jazz, right? Elbows, all that. Except you make a school that never ever spars and never ever competes. Those people that train there probably won't be that great at fighting, if that makes sense. Like, their style works, they just don't know how to fight. So I think that's the issue with traditional martial arts. It's basically the equivalent of taking like a Muay Thai school and not letting them spar or compete ever in their life. And so they obviously don't know how to fight. But the actual techniques, I think, are good in pretty much most martial arts.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Which martial art would you say is your overall favorite?
Oh,
If you
that's
could only pick
tough.
one. Say you can only do
That's
one for the rest of your life.
oh man, that's like actually tough. I'd let's see. All right, so it's either out of let's see. Um, maybe like oh crap, that's so hard. Maybe kickboxing.
Just like general American kickboxing K1, or
Um, yes. No, I can't say that. No, I can't even say that. I was trying to choose kickboxing because I thought it would be like sort of a vague, like, I can technically karate people with kickboxing, right? That works, but I want to clinch though. You can't. K1 kickboxing isn't really. I can't really clinch people to death. I'll go Muay Thai. I'll go Muay Thai. Final answer. Muay Thai. Final answer.
Muay Thai final answer. Is that what you would recommend to the average person? Say someone came to you, they saw a couple of your YouTube videos, and they said, hey, I can't afford to be doing a lot of different styles. I can't afford to be doing something that consistently. I want to learn to defend myself. I'll go maybe twice a month, once a week.
Yeah,
Is that the style you'd recommend, Muay Thai?
100%. Yeah. Um. Now, to be fair, I'm definitely biased towards striking. So just to be clear, if I had to, like, if you told me I couldn't like choose a striking art because I'm like biased or something, I would probably recommend judo. Uh, Even though I'm not like some judo master or something, I think judo is also pretty good for like
Fun
people.
fun fact: originally judo had striking as well.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
they had a
mean,
lot of semiwaza as well as weapons techniques.
yeah, I knew about the weapons techniques, but if I remember correctly, the first time I ever learned about foot stomps, it was from judo, I do believe.
That's fun.
Yeah,
What martial
so
art do you feel would be the best to defend yourself against zombies?
so I remember that question. I knew that was coming. um, hmm. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm gonna say, hmm. This might be a hot take, but I'd say either Muay Thai or Ninjutsu.
Why ninjutsu?
Swords.
There are plenty of arts that aren't ninjutsu that have swords, though.
Yeah,
Like ones that are
but
legitimate. Like, okay, I'm gonna say this now. Apologies to any practitioners of Bujinkan. There is no historical merit to whatever you're training. It can work for you. It's still not legitimate. Continuing.
I mean, it's still cool though, right?
Repeat
Like,
after me. Nimpo has got to go.
Oh my god, that's so funny. But I mean, it's still cool though. Like you get. I mean, I don't know how much street cred matters if it's a zombie apocalypse, but like, you get to cut zombies' heads off with a sword and say like, oh yeah, I trained in jitsu. Follow me if you want to live.
Have you been watching a lot of Naruto?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I'm a Naruto for life.
That's not what your fan base is actually called, is it?
No, 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 no. No. It's like a meme from like people who don't like Naruto. They'll say like, "Oh, you're just a Narutard," but I say it, like, "Oh yeah,
I'm
I'm a
saving that
Narutard."
one in my vocabulary.
Yeah, so I say, like, "Heck yeah, bro, I'm a Narutard. What now? What now? I'll still beat you in a debate on like freaking why Naruto still is your verse." But that's not what we're talking about right now.
Fair enough. But okay, so ninjutsu because street cred and weapons. What about Muay Thai? Because you're open-handed, you're in close. You're probably gonna get bit. What advantage do you think it gives you?
So as far as Muay Thai, now this is interesting. So I think the leg kicks are a big deal, right? I think if you axe down, like say a zombie is coming at you or something, well, also I guess it is fair to say like, well, which types of zombies? When you say zombie, I assume like slow moving, like, they like groups, but they're super duper slow and not all that smart. So what I would say is I would go for like leg kicks, except I would sort of modify it a little bit and say like instead of going for like the thigh, I would go super low. Like I'm trying to kick your ankles. And maybe the side of your knee, like not the front obviously, but like the side of it. Because if you're a zombie, most zombies' durability isn't that good. At least from I don't watch a lot of zombie movies, but from what I've seen, most of their durability isn't really that good. So I'm gonna try and axe through the side of their knee and hope it breaks. And if not, go for hopefully they'll fall. And like I said, I'd kick super low. Like I'm aiming for your ankle. And if they fall, again, their durability is not that good. They'll hit their head, be at least slightly slower, which they're already slow, so that's cool. And then I'm gonna step on their head. And then as far as being in close with, say, the clinch, some media says like if zombies scratch you, you turn instantly. Some say you're fine. So assuming that if they scratch you, you're still gonna be fine. Where the head goes, the body goes. So I'd be super interested in head and neck control and, try to avoid their teeth, and
Yeah, we normally
hopefully
put it
sweep
where
them from
if
the
they bite
clinch.
you, you turn.
Oh,
So
is that
you're
again?
thinking like we normally put it so if they bite you, you turn.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So if they bite you, you turn. I would say clinching is fine, and just make sure you keep your hands and elbows and stuff out of their mouth. And you can even like sweep them from the clinch and then step on their head.
So
A
you're
lot of the
thinking like
finishers are stepping their head.
you're thinking like the leg kicks you'd find within Krav Maga, Wing Chun, and Oichiryu karate.
Yes. I just didn't want to say that because I don't want people to be mad at me like, oh man, you're saying Krav Maga for a zombie apocalypse? Krav Maga doesn't work or something.
I mean, you've already said ninjutsu. I don't think you have to worry about Krav Maga.
Hey,
To be
fair
fair,
enough, man.
you've already said clinching up with a zombie, so
I mean, yeah, I'm probably on everyone's hate list at this point, so I'll keep that in mind.
Okay. Well, you choose ninjutsu for the weapons. What is your favorite weapon?
Okay, so are we still talking like for a zombie apocalypse or in
No, this
general?
is in general. What is your favorite weapon? No, not even just your weapon of choice. Just what do you like the most? Whether you've trained it or you want to train it, just what you want.
Uh, Basic knife, like just a standard knife. I have a
Like a butter knife, because that's what I
no.
think is a basic knife.
Standard. No, no. So I was gonna give an example, right? So for example, I have a titanium nitride combat knife. So when I say like standard knife, I'm assuming like combat knife or something not too like when I say standard, I'm talking about size. Like nothing too big. Like I'm not gonna like if you challenge me to a weapons battle, I'm not gonna like grab a hatchet or some giant blade or something. It'd be more so like a small like combat knife. Um, Maybe not titanium
Why though?
nitride, but
Why would you opt for something smaller if someone challenged you to a weapons fight?
Because so I like weapons fighting and everything. Like that's cool. It looks nice, but I'm infinitely more comfortable, let's say, with my empty-handed training. So I would prefer to have a weapon where I can still do all of my other stuff. Like for example, I learned how to use a bow staff, and I really like the bow staff for like training and getting a good workout and looking flashy and showing off in front of cute girls or whatever.
Staff,
But
Did you? I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop you. You use your bow staff to show off for girls.
I'm just gonna put my own little input. Staff. That's
Yeah. Okay.
about it.
I wasn't gonna point that one out, but yeah, let's go with it. You use your staff to show off for girls.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not gonna say no, but yeah,
And
you know.
how's that
We-
been
we
working
have-
out for you?
Oh, fantastic! I'm amazing, man. I'm amazing in more ways than one. But that's not what we're talking about.
We actually a friend of ours actually had a very long-term relationship. I think it lasted like over a year, and he picked her up by doing Tai Chi.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Cool.
Yeah, it's Moss's nephew.
Nice. Heck yeah. Yeah, also, martial arts is fan. By the way, that's another thing. Like, this is sort of really late for me to point this out, but do you know how many girls I've like have been interested in me because of my martial arts? Like, dude,
I'm assuming not many.
no, a lot. Like, a lot.
Sure, bro. Sure.
Yeah, I hear the disbelief. Yeah, okay, man, whatever. You don't have to believe me, but it's true. And I will say, not all of it is for direct reasons. Like they don't like see me karate someone and like, oh my god, you karateed someone. But it's a lot of it is from secondhand reasons. Like for example, like how I mentioned, like martial arts has like gave me like confidence and stuff. Girls usually really like confidence, right? So I have all of the confidence, right? Like people are already mad at me, so I'm gonna come out and say it. I'm just gonna whip it out, right? People like I call myself a god in public, so and a lot of girls like that. So hey, what can I do, right? Also, I'm still super skinny, but I'm defined, right? I'm pretty defined. So if I come out with like I've been really attached to wearing short sleeves recently, so to show off that hey, I may be skinny, but I'm cut, right? And girls like that too. Or at the pool.
Fair enough. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
also girls like when I lift them and do whatever I want, but child friendly.
I think you really might want to fucking think about your phrasing there.
Child friendly.
Yeah, for real.
Child friendly. Well, I'm not. Anyway, can we derail?
Yes. Okay. I think we've gone through we've gone through a lot of the conversation topics we were planning to hit tonight. So, much like we did with our last interview, we're going to give you here the opportunity. Any conversation topics you wanted to bring up or anything particularly you wanted to discuss with us?
Okay, yeah. Are there any martial arts that you guys hate?
For me,
I
ninjutsu
think
and
Lo has-
BJJ.
Yeah.
Why BJJ? What did it do to you?
So there's more to the martial art than just the art itself. It's also the community that it fosters, and I don't like the community it fosters.
I'm gonna
Why? I want to go through this with all of you, by the way.
ninjutsu and BJJ.
Okay. Masa first, though. What's wrong with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community?
Well, for one, they seem to think that BJJ is the be-all, end-all of all sports, completely ignoring the fact that it ignores striking, and I don't know about you, but usually if I'm outside, I'm on my feet. I'm not laying on my back on the ground waiting to be attacked. So there's that. There's also the culty mentality, the tattoos, just like there's just an arrogance to it that I absolutely hate, and I don't like that. And then ninjutsu just isn't real, so.
Wait, do you think I'm arrogant? Do you hate me?
Yes.
Wait, yes to both?
Yes.
Dang. Sad life, sad life. Um, okay, so all right. So what about the other, like you, yeah, the rest of you guys? What do you think?
Uh, Ninjutsu and BJJ. Ninjutsu because it's ninjutsu. BJJ because I did it for years and I found better things. Ninjutsu, well, ninjutsu is ninjutsu, but BJJ is extremely limited, where they're hyper focused on Newaza tends to create really good Newaza practitioners, but on their feet, I've noticed that most BJJ guys are fully useless. There's a culty mentality, and most of them tend to be supremacists. They
So
think,
you're
oh,
a biased judoka.
no, I've got some BJJ guys that I really like. Most of them do 10th Planet. I like BJJ guys who are open to other things and don't view BJJ is unique. BJJ is the best thing ever. No, BJJ is basically just judo.
Okay, yeah, I said that as a joke, like biased judoka, but what you said kind of sounded like a biased judoka at the end, where you said BJJ is like basically just judo. But I love it. I love it. All right, what about you? Last but not least.
Ninjutsu and BJ. No, I'm kidding. Okay, I am the one here that surprises a lot of people that have had conversations with me. I don't hate BJJ. I will say that very clearly. I don't hate it. I like talking about it because it's so easy to piss off anyone that's ever done it in their life. But I don't hate it. My problems with it are mostly their claims of good weapons defense and their claims of being good defense for small people and women. Because I don't think it does that well.
Oh
And then
yeah, I
other than
get
that,
that.
I don't like that it claims it does. They do everything. A lot of BJJ people will be like, "No, but we have all these throws and takedowns, and you just don't know. It's all allowed." And it's like, okay, but how much do you really practice it? Because to claim BJJ doesn't have a ground focus is just lying.
Yeah,
But I
I get
don't hate
that.
it. I'm not. Low hates it. Low will go
I
off for hours about hating it. I don't
I,
hate
I
it.
hate it because I did it for years.
I can't say I hate anything. I think if there is one martial art I dislike more than any, it's probably Krav Maga.
Ooh, why? Why do you hate Mr. Captain Krav Maga?
I really don't like how static Krav Maga is. It's like the worst kind of karate, and then they're trying to use it against knives. It's all one type movements, and this is not for every Krav Maga, but this is a common issue in Krav Maga. And I'm not saying Krav Maga doesn't work. I'm saying this is the art I dislike most because of these habits found within it.
Yeah, I
Actually,
get
no, wait,
that.
never mind. I'm gonna take it back. There is a martial art that I hate, and it's Tiger Rock.
What the heck is that?
They
It is a form. It is a form of Taekwondo within the United States. It is a cult, and they shit their pants.
Wait, what? Are you serious?
there was okay, so they're Taekwondo and then Gracie University Jiu Jitsu, and we looked up their Jiu Jitsu, and one of the only videos is two guys grappling, and the one with the white gi literally has brown stains down his rear.
By the way, when you said Krav Maga is literally just the worst type of karate, I'm like eating an orange and I almost choked and died. That was hilarious.
And Krav Maga would probably take credit for that. Yeah, we're hardcore. We'll kill you with an orange.
Oh, that's freaking hilarious. You guys are golden. Let me see. I had at least two more questions. First things first, Moss, is there any chance you'll ever like not hate me? Like, I don't like people hating me.
I mean, don't be hateable and you won't be hated.
That's so vague. Okay. Um, no, I think you're the only person that hates me that I've met in the last like what 3 years, 4 years.
That's admitted it, probably.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say maybe she's just the only one that's she's not very good at hiding things. If something's up, she's just gonna say it.
No, that's good. I like when people are blunt. Um, let's see. Let me see. Hmm. So, what is? I mean, you guys asked me, what's your guys' favorite martial art?
Judo.
Heck yeah.
Namido Jujitsu.
Okay.
That's biased because he does it. So I say judo as a meme. I actually prefer wrestling over judo, technically.
Oh, okay.
Well, if we're trying to pick something that we don't currently do, geez, Sambo.
Ooh, Sambo.
Sambo
Heck
is
yeah.
always pretty good.
I like Sambo because both BJJ and Sambo came directly from judo. Sambo is just Sambo's just the child that judo did not disown.
God damn it.
Bro.
I don't know.
Bro, you guys are freaking amazing.
I don't know. I will also say I really like Filipino martial arts. I like Eskrima. I like Kali. I see them as very fluid, close self-defense systems, and they're very, very similar, a lot of it, to what I did when I was in Wing Chun. But I love Wing Chun more, not just because I did it, but also because I feel like it's got more potential in it, which Lo's gonna argue with me about after this.
Heck yeah, Wing Chun debate. Let's go. I'm down.
So I would say my favorite art that I don't practice would be judo, and then as far as ones that I'm familiar with would be Muay Thai.
Heck yeah, Muay Thai for life. Let's go. Let's see.
Actually,
All right.
how tall are you? Because you might be around a good height to fight Masa if you guys ever go back to that same tournament.
They don't mix the genders though with those tournaments, and there's no way we'd be in the same weight class.
Masa,
Just cut
it's
your hair and try and
2021.
get in.
So, actually, the last tournament I went to, there was, dudes and dudettes fighting. So who knows? But so I'm actually around 5'11", give or take. One of my friends is convinced I'm 6 foot. I haven't measured my height in a while, but around 5'11", give or take. My weight right now, I'm between like 135 and 140, give or take.
Awesome. Masa will get to use her favorite technique, Kinteki Zuki.
No, that is not my favorite technique.
Yes.
We're not doing this. We're not doing
Okay.
Wait, what is that?
Kinteki,
Wait, what?
Zuki is punch. Kinteki is a specific target.
Wait,
The target that
is it the?
dudes have.
Okay, yeah, I thought that's what you were talking about. Dang. I mean, I'll watch out for that anyway. You got to be prepared.
You should be wearing a
Like
cup.
Johnny Cage.
I mean, I always do.
in combat, just do the splits and the uppercut.
Yeah, no, freaking, I meme on people at my freaking dojo for not wearing a cup. Freaking, I meme on them all the time. It's so funny.
Yeah,
I mean,
wear
if
a
you're doing
cup.
Eskrima, they should definitely be wearing a cup. You don't want a fucking knife or a stick there.
Right?
You know, I wear a cup in competition, but I have a confession to make. I hardly wear a cup in training, just because I have confidence in my ability
How
to
could you?
not get it.
How could you? No, I'm just kidding. But
Here's my thing with that, Lo. I have confidence in your ability to not get hit there. What I don't have confidence in is your brother's ability to not specifically target there.
It does. I just don't get hit. It makes me better.
that's actually fair. But no, I wear a cup just in case. Like my dodging is golden, but I say like yeah, I'm a god, but that doesn't mean I'm like the god or something. I don't think I'm like omnipotent or something. I still get hit obviously. If I say like I think you guys are gods, you guys are amazing. Like all that means is I think you guys are like cool, right? Like I'm the cool geek man. I'm freaking cool. But like yeah, no, I have to have safety precautions. Like gotta wear that cup, man.
Dude, when you say you're a god, do you mean like Zeus or like fucking
Loki.
how do I forget his name? I meant more no, not Loki. Dragon Ball dude, Super Saiyan gods.
Oh, I mean, I guess the analogy of like Super Saiyan God works, like, because Goku's still technically immortal. He's just big, strong. So, yeah, I'll go with that.
Nice. Okay. I think I think that maybe is that everything that you wanted to talk about? Everything on your end?
Masa, is there any way you could not hate me? Like,
God damn it!
like, can we be friends?
Are
Like,
we ever getting off?
that's the final question.
I mean, that's really up to you.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll be better.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this somewhat chaotic episode of the Class Podcast on Combat Connections. Thank you to Cool Geek Defense for joining us today on your birthday to get roasted by Masa. This has been interesting discussions. Very different, a lot more dynamic than our normal interviews, considering we had a lot more to argue about. If you guys want to see more content like this, watch the rest of our videos on our YouTube channel. Keep an eye out for videos coming. We're doing podcasts. We're going to be streaming Tekken 7 and other video games. We're going to be doing gear reviews and other great martial arts content for you. Check out our Instagram at combatconnection_co, our Facebook at Combat Connections, our TikTok at Combat Connections. Check out our other podcasting platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you want to see next time. And keep training, people. Peace.